I'm here till Thursday. Thanks for the claps. Thanks, everyone. We've got an audience. Live audience.
Cool.
All right. Welcome to Wealth Cartel Legends, where we talk about how hindsight is a motherfucker.
Our mission, guys, is to stop people saying, I wish I had listened, and to help people to capitalise on everyone else's mistakes before making them yourself.
Yeah, in summary, our tagline says it all. Turn our hindsight into your foresight so you don't have to make the same mistakes that we did.
That's a $20 fucking glass of scotch because they wouldn't let us have a shot. We're actually at Bellavista Hotel, guys, by the way. We should give them a shout out there.
We do tag them. Yeah, Bellavista Hotel shout out. We should put in our intro, actually.
Yeah, they're letting us recording here for free. We need to fix the lighting, but other than that, we're pretty good. I know, we missed hindsight? Yeah, we missed hindsight. All right, we'll go to hindsight. So looking back, what are some of the big things you would have changed, good or bad, to benefit you today?
To think about my future, and it was only something I just sort of realised then when you asked me before, like, yeah, there was no bigger picture. I guess maybe for me, I mean, gosh, I had my daughter when I was 18. So the original plan was I was going to uni. Like I sort of had that plan, and then I sort of fell pregnant and had her, and it was just like that went out the door, and I was just living in the moment, I guess, and living, and more so leaving the responsibility of what was happening in our life to like the kid's dad, and just taking on that mum role. But I had no real plan for me. I was just, so in hindsight, it would have been, and that's probably why I am so driven right now. It's like, yeah, I've got a partner, we're building a future together, and that's the plan. But I'm also like, it's not what his future is. You know, like he's very much, supportive of me setting my life and my like.
It's you two individually get together.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
And
I love
he's
that. That's what people do wrong. They leech off, like they hang off the other person, and I'll just support them. You've got to do each individual life and do it together. Man.
So
he's a good dude too. Like he just like we were chatting the other night, and he was saying we went out to dinner, and he was saying I said, "Fuck, how do you do it, bro? I couldn't watch my missus. Like, I'll be jumping the ring. Like, I got.
He knows he does it. You might get smoked.
I got a history with like not letting my missus fight people. Like, I can't let and he goes, that's how you feel until like he goes, your missus is not Arlene. And I was like,
yeah, that's right.
He's like, but he actually said, what fight was it? He said there was this fight, and she just like they were just banging, and he was at the.
Oh, I thought he was, Conor McGregor's teammate. That one, the boxing fight. Yeah, I was black and blue.
He said he was sitting ringside, and they were just punching their heads off, and he was like,
"What?" That was that big scrappy that they keep they replay it all the time. He's just standing and banging.
Yeah.
He's like, "What the fuck are they doing? They're just punching it," and he was like, "Bro, like my missus' head was black and blue." She's like, come out, didn't look like herself. I'm going, nah. Because
we feel like he's my mate, like for the AFC, CFC and stuff, right? Yeah. And we go to all of them growing up, and I used to sit there. We all scrap growing up on the coast and everything, and you'd see him, and they'd be at like when BJ Penn, one of my best mates, one of my was Benny Hansen, and he was like the under 65 AFC and CFC holder for years, and he fought BJ Penn's right hand man, this forward out of them. They came down to Cronulla and fought, and Benny smoked him, but in the last round he slipped and got on top of him and was smoking him. Like he got finished from it after smoking. And I've never wanted to jump a ring. Like when there was like 30 of us blokes, and we were just like, no, I don't know. Like I don't know how you could do it. Like it's too much emotion.
I don't reckon I could do it. I honestly don't reckon I could sit. I would be fucking Khabib's team. I was like. I couldn't do it. I don't know how.
And it's different when you train them, like when it becomes martial arts.
I just don't know, bro. Even if I reckon this is my biggest. I reckon if I went to Arlene's fight and I was sitting there and someone punched in the face, I'd be like, fucking don't hit her. I just don't like people. I don't like it, man.
He was. I remember the first time he came over. So
Dion's real. He's real, like calm too. Like he's such a chill dude.
Don't be fooled. But no, he is like. But fuck, he's got a temper on him too sometimes.
They're the scariest ones.
They're the quiet ones.
He. I remember the first fight he was saying because he knows not to be nervous in front of me or anything, so he's always just super calm and whatever. Especially like going into a fight. But yeah, afterwards, so back in 2016 was the first time he like jumped in my corner. And he was like, I was back and forth from the toilet. He was like nervous.
He pissed 10 times. He was saying that to me the other night. He's like, I'll just go. And I was like, were you going to the toilet? He's like, no, just standing now. What the fuck were you doing in there? He goes, bro, it was like anxiety. And I've been in that spot, but it wasn't over the fight. I'd get anxious when I was out in the club for a little while when I wasn't partying. I'd go out and I was partying really hard, and then I stopped. And then I went to a festival, and like everyone else was getting on it, and I was normal, and I was like, fuck, I can't be here. And I would just keep walking to the Portaloos and hang out by myself for 10 minutes. So I know that feeling, but
it's a hard, like, I guess too, like, yeah, I was a bit of a tomboy back in, like, school growing up and stuff, and then, you know, when I was with the kids' dad, like, it was always like, oh, I was such and such's partner, and I would get into fights at parties and this and that. So, like, I've had my share of fights, like, before I actually started fighting. And that was probably one of the things that got me interested in it. Like, I was like, hey, I could do this.
I can scrap.
Yeah, pretty much.
But then, dropping everybody fucking three.
But then it's different when you're fighting someone that's been training for 6 weeks or 8 weeks or whatever.
Making me nervous. You missed getting a scrap over the weekend. Now she's getting a scrap with someone else who can scrap.
Yeah, like and one thing when you're full of alcohol and you think you're the king of the world or whatever, like
don't feel the pain until 3 days later.
But then when you're sitting across from someone in the ring or the cage, you're like, holy shit, like
it's so different. Like I want to have one of my goals to have a corporate fight. Like it's like because I grew up, I've never had a professional fight or amateur fight.
Yeah.
I grew up with all my mates training, and we spar flat out and up on the coast, and we're all like Ross Pearson's, all that out his gym and stuff. I used to train there. All the boys that train there now, Jamie Malarkey and all that stuff. Right? And we grew up like that. And you get on the weekend, you get in a scrap, and there's no issue. But even just like when I first started sparring, like you're standing there and you're both getting ready to punch, you're like, or kick or whatever, and you're like, fuck, this is different. Like in the first,
I'd be good, I reckon. I'll be one of those dudes that wore like the karate uniform, so I could hide my fucking club lock under my shirt, because I'm not getting in. I don't care. There's no way I'm getting in a ring against someone that's been training for 12 weeks.
Jumping in the ring with a blade on him.
Watching video of me, like that just freaks me out. Like I have a severe, like I don't know. In a pub. That person doesn't know you. They don't know your weaknesses. They don't delve into your life.
Full alcohol.
and and you've just got this confidence on your shoulder. I just don't know. Like, I'm a confident person, but I admire. Like, I envy. It's envious. It's in between, because I watch people do it, and I'm like, I can't do that. I can do a lot of things other people can't do, but I watch that, and I think it's why I'm so intrigued a lot of the time, is because
it's one day worry. The balls to know 12 weeks, like Cam throughout fight 12 weeks, knowing you're gonna fight a weapon, training, getting up every day, knowing that you're like, he's a beast.
That's probably half the addiction. Like, I probably started, like, I had career goals, obviously, like I sort of touched base before, watching Olympians and like State of Origin and stuff. So my goal was to always represent Australia at the Olympics. And when I started fighting, that's when they introduced boxing into the Olympics for females. So that was the goal. But then along the way, it just kind of changed.
Then Cyborg blew up and she was like, I got to fight that bitch.
No, it's funny because I say it all the time. It's like the further I get into my career, the more humble. Like, I started off fighting and I was a tough chick. Like, I thought I was a tough chick. And now, if you actually met me and didn't know I was a fighter and, probably didn't look at my tattoos or whatever, no one would pick me as a fighter.
Now it's more of a sport for you.
Well, and I will even...
Well, it's legit sport now. It's a job, yeah?
Well, yeah.
I mean, Arlene still works a full-time job. Like, nuts. Like, a fucking... She's in training to fight the baddest bitch ever in the world. And you're not working for this fight?
No, I won't be for this fight.
Okay,
no.
so you're not working for this fight. Every other fight...
the last 3 fights that I've won, I juggled, working full-time, coaching, training twice a day, as well as...
And then doing this shit. and then 2 kids. Like, it's... Yeah. I mean, we're busy, right? Like, I'm like, with these 9 businesses, I've never been busier in my life. I just don't feel like I have time to scratch. But I've never been in a position... See, with me, I can maneuver. I can change shit around. You're locked in. You can't maneuver kids.
And you turn up like Lions would have been when you train Lions. You probably was when you're busier. Like, you had the most going on. You would turn up with the kids and like 3 times a day, and I'd be like, "Where's all these trainers?" You train like privately with like Sully and stuff.
You still hadn't got up off the mat yet.
No,
Arlene's trained twice.
I've turned up just to like the fitness guys, and Arlene turns. She's done a private with Sully and then Ty and Tyson, and then she's in the main class, and then she stays back after. I'm like, get me out of here. This is ridiculous. Like, and then she's got kids she got to take home.
No, even looking back at that, like, the effort of getting the kids, because I'm big on like making sure the kids do their homework and this and that, like, but getting to the gym and they'd have their homework and then they'd have their dinner and Tupperware containers.
I remember seeing the kids do the homework. They just, hey, Mikey as well, Mikey Bellator. So he's a mate of mine from the coast as well. His brother hates you. And I remember he was there and I was training and I was like, what are you doing here? You're on the coast. And he's like, yeah, I travel. Him and his mister would travel down, like, and I was like, you guys, and I was like, you guys put in so, like, that changed my mind. Like, because Tyson and Ty were always there, and especially when the Tahunas, like when they had bee stings there, and we trained, and it was just like, because it went from like EFG.
How did that change from EFG to bee stings to Lions?
EFG was in Penrith, and then they went to bee stings.
The EFG was where Vainicolo and that trained out of A. That was James Vainicolo. Tahuna, EFG, Elite Waichi Moribus.
So they went to bee stings at St Mary's after Jamie got his first contract, I think, or one of them, and then Sully bought it off, and they started training. And I remember, like, through that whole transition, because I've known Tama for a while down there, and I remember, like, I used to think, oh, they're from Penrith, they just turn up and they train. But then when I started seeing all these other fighters turn up, like you and Mikey, and
I used to do Paul Macquarie when I first started training bee stings.
I was did you drive down and drive back?
No, well, back then, the kid's dad and I used to do week on, week off with the kids. Right. So the week that I'd be at home, I'd just be at home, I'd do my PT jobs and that with the clients. And then the week off, I'd leave them with equipment and set workouts, and I'd come down and I'd stay in Penrith. I remember sleeping on the mezzanine floor at the gym when I was training at Jab Out on a blow-up mattress because I was staying down there every second week. I didn't want to pay for a comment. And I didn't know anyone back then. Whereas now, God, I've got like...
You just go.
You just knock on a door.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. But
you wouldn't want to go stay at Ty's house, would you? There'd be no sleeping. It was just a big party.
Don't say that. Well, because I used to work at Ripples, right? Like, I used to be a swim instructor at Ripples. And I remember, like, when Valley first was Valley, and it opened up. And I remember, like, I used to live at St Mary's, and I was like, fuck, I can't bother driving to the gym. And when I started driving to the gym, and I saw, like, Mikey and I saw you come there, I was like, I put my head in my ass. Like, I'm going to walk to the gym. I don't want to drive. Like, and then
that's that victim mindset too. That's that excuse mindset. Like, that's what I mean. I still, like, this is the thing. I'm on a podcast trying to teach kids what to do right, and I've still got a fuckload to learn. Like, you know, but that's where at least the best part about what goes on in here, and I think in my life now is I know. I'm not going to lie about it. I know I'm lazy at times. I know, but I'm accountable. It's not an excuse. I don't want to fucking go today, and I blatantly would say to him, I'm not coming.
There's things, it's funny because everyone looks at my life and my days and I'm super busy, but there are aspects in my life that I'm lazy about. And one thing is like, there's so many times, and I've said it heaps, if I could study my way through a degree, I'd have that many degrees right now. It's just that I can't sit in front of it. Like, I'm just not a sit-still person, but like I literally had 40 minutes from one of my appointments before I came here, and I was thinking, I make the most of my day. I'm like, well, I've got to change my bed sheets. I'm better off doing that now. So I literally call into home, quickly change my bed sheets.
See, that's efficiency.
That's going to be, like, and I put a story up. I've got non-negotiables for my day and stuff. And I'm like, so it comes down, like, I've got a big goal in my career. So obviously it's, beating Chris Cyborg. Then I've got, an 8-week fight camp. And there's little goals all the way along each of those weeks that I'm going to, but then it's broken into days. So each day I've got, my set training sessions. Those training sessions also have their little goals in them. But for me, like, even if I don't, like, even outside of fight camp, I should say, the non-negotiables are the little goals that I achieve within themselves. So simple things like making your bed, and this is what I try to teach my kids too.
Which one did you drop then? Who's the favourite? There's always a favourite.
No. Kayla has been my angel child from the minute she was born. She was so easy. Kiana, on the other hand, oh my God. And you would know it, raising, like, boys are just full on.
You'll know raising.
We're the opposite.
Kate's the boss now.
Nah, look.
Kate's got him covered. He's
they're hard, like they're hard work, the boys, but attitude-wise, and my girl, mate, she looks at me and I'm just...
no worries.
Nah, she used to, not now, bro. There's something happened. She's 8. What's going to happen when she's 16? Locks,
you have to get Arlene
my mum, I'm the oldest. I've got 3 little sisters. My mum always said I was way easier.
Yeah.
She goes, the difference.
Maybe it's the eldest one, maybe.
Well, to me, but I didn't think I was easy. I ran amok.
Yeah, I ran amok.
But I was a boy, and it made it easier for her to feel like I was safe running amok, so she could sleep while I was running amok. My 2 sisters down from me. So Braden is me, and then there's Bray, Zoe, and Ziana. Braden is an angel. Zoe is the girl version of me. That's the one that gave my mum the dramas, because like she did all the same things I did. My mum knew that she was doing all the same shit, but she was a girl, and although she can handle herself, not it's not the same.
Yeah.
And I agree. I freak. Like my son comes home, he's like, I'm like, how many girlfriends you got? He's like, yeah, 3 or 4. My daughter comes home and says, I got a boyfriend. I'm like, you fucking what? You can't. But I mean, I
just went through my sister. One of my sisters. We just went through the
21st
makeup and the breakup of her first boyfriend. That was fun.
Oh, it's hard. Yeah. So is your daughter living like she lives out by herself? She got a boyfriend or?
No. She's she lives with her uncle and auntie, or so her dad's uncle and auntie.
Yeah,
so they've got 2 daughters that are a couple of years older than her.
Yeah, right.
But no, she's just an angel child. Like she's been easy. So
Easy
yeah,
as.
she's 19, doesn't go out clubbing.
Clever.
She's had one serious boyfriend. When she was 14 through to probably about 15 and a half, and then she realised that's not what she wants to focus her life on.
What a dream. What a dream.
The best thing ever.
Yeah,
That's
good.
So good, eh? Like, you know what it is? She's scared. If she fucks up, you are just going to fix her.
No, she's got other plans. Like, gosh, she finished year 12. She was going to do a semester over in England for uni. Like, she just got bigger. I've always just been about, go and experience life. And I hope that she doesn't seem to think that I ever made her feel like I regretted the choice of having her at a young age. But yeah, she's all about studying and going and living life. And
I think you're lucky there in that sense. Or my mum had me young, and
I think that's something people get caught up in though, like the age. Like it's like what you're trying to say. It's not about whether you had her or not. It's just find that balance. And if you could have her later, there's more things. You know what I mean? Like people get caught up that
I don't know,
if you didn't have me now, you wouldn't have me at all. But it's not.
I don't know.
There's that balance between.
Yeah.
I just don't know. I've thought about this like long and hard, and like I'm glad I didn't have kids when I was 18 because I was nowhere near ready. But when me and my mum grew up, we grew up together. My mum was a kid when I was 10. My mum was fucking 27 when I was 10 years old.
Yeah.
And to me, like I'm 31 now. I've got a 10-year-old stepson, but he's my son. But him and his mum grew up together, and their bond is like nothing.
Yeah.
She says she doesn't have favorites, and she's very, very she's very, very good mum, like my wife. But her and our eldest boy, there's something there.
You're going to go through it. So I went through both. So mum had me young. So I grew up mum and dad as they were young. I got to train my dad. Like it's been a mad life.
Yeah.
But then my sisters, they had at. So I've got all 3. I've got the young, what I think is the perfect age. So mum had my sisters around that 30-year-old mark. Yeah. And then I've got my brothers on my dad's side, who he had them when he was like 40 and 45, like older, right? Both ends. I enjoyed growing up young with my parents, but I think my sisters got it the best because they got the perfect balance and young enough parents, so they got parented.
Yeah,
you know
parented and also more financially stable.
That's right. My parents were like learning with me, like they learned on the cuff because like they were still trying to find their own way. Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like I that's what I reckon.
Makes it heaps easier being financially stable. Like B lives a lot better of a life now that we're together. You know what I mean?
Like I feel like B and I would have a lot to relate in.
Very, very, very much.
Gosh, I remember when I had both of my kids being at the supermarket having to put groceries back, or payday, working out which bill was I going to pay rent on time this week, or pay this
mum
bill,
paying like part cash, part card.
Yeah, and I like when B and I got together, she won't mind me saying this either. When her and I got together, her finances were a mess. But I'm like quite a few years older than B, and my finances were not great compared to what they are now. Yeah. But I looked after them. Yeah. They were mine. Yeah. I never had any excuse anymore. But
it's hard when you're a single mum too, and you've got kids.
Well, you gotta. Well, her and she would like she. I don't think she understood it then, but looking back at it now, her mindset was the kids eat before the bills get paid, and that's fucking it. If I can't afford anything else, the car loan doesn't get paid. My mindset was you shouldn't have got the car loan. Yeah. Her mindset was I can't pay. I needed a car.
I have to the thing with like single mums is like I deal with it too, but I've coached a lot, and one of the biggest, most powerful things that I implemented with them is sometimes you just got to be realistic with yourself. Is like because you get this lot of feds a lot of bullshit now. Like no matter what you do, hustle and do this. There's a point, like especially for the single mums, that they're doing the best job they can. They're earning the most they can. There's a point where you just don't have enough money to do all the things you want to do. Mm-hmm. And the reality is, and what I teach them is you just don't understand that. And you've got to manage the best with what you've got and take your priorities and realize that and understand that the only way you're going to achieve all these other things you want to do is you have to earn more. So do the best you can with what you got now and have a plan in the back of your mind on figuring out how you're going to earn more.
Well, I think the hard part is the mum always wants the kid to have the best life, right? But in my opinion, and I learned this from watching what my mum went through, my mum sacrificed a lot of her own well-being and a lot of her own mindset to make sure I had Billabong clothes. Now, to me, then, cool. Thanks, Mum. Fucking Matt. But I look back now, and I don't know if that sacrifice was worth me wearing
Would
Billabong
you not
clothes.
wearing Billabong and her being a bit more ahead than, yeah?
Yeah, and like, not even just the head money-wise, just mentally-wise, like, feeling like it was okay.
Solution to a long-term
problem. I just think, like, mums are so worried about, making sure their kid's got the same as the other kid next door, and I don't know if that's the right fundamental to teach a kid. Like, don't get me wrong, that kid feels love, but when they're 15 or 16, they're going to, or maybe not, maybe a bit older than that, maybe, 10 years later, actually, maybe 25 or 26, they're going to look back and they're going to go, like I did, and say, well, Mum did everything possible to make sure I was cool then, but I would have rather my mum be cool.
Yeah.
And I just think that happy medium doesn't exist. People are so caught up on Instagram and this fake shit in the world, and like there's baller on a budget. Like I know, man, my wife.
Like half of the people in Western Sydney living way beyond their means.
Yeah,
the cars, the clothes.
It's a shit thing. So when we started going well, when we started making money, we'd never had a Gucci handbag or whatever, right? And we went into the casino, and I had a few beers, and I was like, fuck it, let's go to Gucci. And she was like, why? And my honest answer was not you deserve it, which it should have been. It was everyone else in fucking Western Sydney's balling on a budget. They're getting loans for this shit. We can afford it. Let's fucking get you one. Yeah. The next day, I felt sick. I lost $5,000 at Gucci, but money wise, it was never to me that it wasn't the money. It was like, you know what, you want it, you deserve it. Whereas my wife she's never ever complained about not getting anything.
Yeah.
Never. Whereas a lot of these people these days, they're living outside their means, and then they're complaining about school fees. And I know people that are like, oh, fuck, I'm not paying fucking school fees, but you're rocking a Louis Vuitton handbag that costs you $3,000, and you're paying and it's probably fucking afterpay.
Or fake.
Right. Fake's all right. Fake, I don't mind fake. Authentic.
Don't tell me it's real, but
fake authentic.
Yeah. All right, so let's get back on track here. So with what I want to know to finish it off before we give us a reply to it, so it's the foresight side. So we want to bring this all back around to the money, lifestyle, health side of things, right? So that's our triangle. We think a perfect balance, finding the perfect balance between all that. Right now, I guess we'll go through money, health, and lifestyle, and we'll then get you at the end. We'll get you to give us what you think your biggest going back, what you would change in each one of those segments. But right now, what do you think? In the money side of things, like the wealth side of things, what do you think there's any? Actually, no, we'll go straight into that. What do you think your biggest mistake or benefit that you could go back or pass on to the next generation in relation to money?
Not having a savings pattern when I was younger. It would just sort of be living from week to week and not really having that future plan. Like even just having money to fall back on for a rainy day. And this is one of the things that I tell my daughter now. Always have an amount of money, and I guess for me, coming from a relationship that I couldn't leave because I was so dependent, I had nothing to my name, and it made it harder to be able to just leave because I was literally trapped there, and that's how he liked that. But
that's the control. That's control.
Well, yeah. So, but just even for me when I was a single mum, you just know you've got car issues or something always have that saving, like something there to fall back on because rainy days, whether it be. I mean, we're lucky to live here in Australia where we've got Medicare and stuff like that. So, the health side of things.
You always have a buffer.
Yeah.
3 to 6 months. Buffer.
Yeah.
That's a good point. I never thought
Especially
about that.
with COVID
so
too,
easy with that.
Maybe people start thinking now too. Like
crazy. It's the best thing that's come out of it.
Yeah. I've been lucky, Dion has been under the pump with COVID and I've been lucky that I've stayed in my job. So financially we've been fine and we're probably like the both of us are the most financially secure I've been in my whole life. And it's such a relief for me because money finances is like the worst stress. You can't escape that. Going to sleep of a night, wondering how you're going to survive. Yeah, so. I
got into my job. I had input into my project. I got this into my job because when I left the army, we had mass suicide. Yeah. When I was in the army, I lost 10 mates by the time I was 24 to suicide in the army.
Yeah.
And so I did a study to figure out what the main cause was, and I did 52 hours worth of 52 interviews in RRP, and of 50% of those. They said that their PTSD or their mental health started with money stresses, whether it was not having enough money, addiction.
Do you reckon that's, we touched base on it before, and you were saying that when you were in the army, even though you were only on 40K when you started, you couldn't spend it because you were in this routine. Do you reckon once that routine's over, you then fall back into
So what the study was, it came out that, because it could be drug addiction, loss of job, gambling, whatever it was, they just didn't have enough money, right? And that kicked off their mental health issue. But of the other 50%, the majority of those said at some point during their mental health issues, money problems spiraled further. And I thought, holy shit, I can help you, right? And that's really important that you touch on that because, it's what I said in an episode last night that I did where they go, hey, everyone wants to try and take these risks to get rich quick, but they don't protect the downside or they don't have the buffer, they don't have the fallback. And all my clients, like it's been a COVID, it actually, I said to you, Akko, like it's hurt me a bit because I've done so well through COVID because all my clients were set up right for something like this to happen and we took advantage of it. I'm happy. It's been a happy point for me, which is hard because other people aren't.
It's hard to feel like that. It's hard to grasp. We were talking about feeling insensitive. I'm a bit the same, and I mean you're in the same boat. You and Dion have managed to, to stay safe. Like you're financially well. You've probably just found out the biggest news of your career.
Yep.
I'm the same. I've just done the biggest thing I've ever done in my career. I capitalised on COVID.
Yeah.
And I mean, you want to be happy about it. You want to be able to, move forward, and you want to be able to talk to it about it. But it's a hard conversation to have because fucking 80% of anyone I know is doing well worse.
Yeah.
And
but that being sensitive towards that, like I mean.
Yeah.
Don't rub it in their face.
Well, that's it. Yeah, like I wouldn't anyway. But yeah, obviously people are losing their lives too, so it's not even about the financial side of things. Like
but that's a contributor.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah.
But I really like that point you made about money because like my business, we focus on we're less risky. We achieve everyone's goals with lowest risk possible. We get taught our whole life that earning money and making money is the be all and end all, but we forget to manage it. It doesn't matter how much you earn if you can't manage it properly, it's irrelevant. You know, and that savings point, that buffer is the first primary step to. If you can't save for above, how are you going to save for a home? If you don't have the emergency there, it's crazy. So I really like that. It's a good one. Health. What do you think health-wise? If you could go back, so mental, physical health, what's the biggest thing you would change?
So I started fighting at 26.
Don't be a fighter.
No, but yeah, it's just
good advice.
Gosh, I abused, like I was a young mum, but my diet back then was terrible. And then obviously just being young and dumb and just didn't look after my body. Now I'm 37 and think if I could go back and have that youth again, I would look after my body so much better. Like I'm a
longevity approach.
Yeah. Nobody thinks, like it's funny. I even I'm reading posts and people talking about this COVID vaccine that comes through and the amount of people on social media saying like, oh, I won't get it, this and that. And then I was like commenting and was like, I wonder how many of you people that say no, smoke cigarettes or drink or take drugs or prescription medication, like all these things that you're putting into your body now. Is affecting.
So I struggle with that because I'm a vaxxer. I vax my kids, but I don't know if I want. I just don't know if I want to be a test
but
subject.
I just feel it funny that people are so like,
people are instantly anti-vaxxers, but they smoke, they sniff,
they're not looking after their bodies. Like how often do they exercise?
All right, I love that. That's great. It's a commonality like longevity, and you think amongst all these things like money and health. I think one of the big things is when you're younger, you think the future's so far away, but it comes so quick. And if you could just take 10% of living in the now from money and health and think about the future. And I say to all my clients, like, I'm not telling you to plan to have a good life in the future. I'm saying just plan a worst case scenario. Start with something. So if you mess it all up between now and then, you still have something. And that's the same for health. Like, just do enough. Do enough that like I had a shoulder reco and everything after the army, and I was training 3-4 times. I was jacked. I was jamming all the juice in the world. And I wish now it'll come back to haunt me.
I got to answer this. It's good on about the boiling.
All right. So living wise, right? So part of the lifestyle, like one of the big things is, like I grew up on one side of my family, mum, where we didn't live today. Like we lived on noodles, and later on she could pay her home off, or whatever.
Yep. And
you got to find that balance. Tomorrow's not promised anyway. So I'm a big advocate. You've got to live your enjoyment today, but do enough so you can keep living it tomorrow. What do you, lifestyle-wise, right? Lifestyle, so all the fun things, the part that gives you the enjoyment in life. What would you change, or what would you think going back you could implement, or you did well, or what would you change for now?
That's a good one. I guess just think big too. Like I hadn't started traveling. Like I mean, I traveled to the Philippines when I was younger, with my mum, but I didn't start traveling until I was like fighting. So the last 12 years is what I've been to America like 14 or 15 times now, and you've fought all over the world, and plan holidays. And whereas before I was sort of just living in the moment in the small town that I was living in and this and that. Like it wasn't just thinking big and going for it. Like I think everything, like I think that anything that I think of right now, I can do and achieve.
Yeah.
There is no limit to anything that I can do. So it's kind of like, all right, let's just put things into
Do you think it's a priority? Like you've always had the capacity to do things, but you just prioritize different shit. And then you were like for me, it was partying, right?
Yeah.
I was like, I wish I could travel. I couldn't if I stopped partying.
Yeah. Well, I think I'm just in a good place at the moment. Like Dion and I are on the same. Like, and he's a few years younger than me too. That's why it even makes it like it's always a bit of a worry if you sort of start dating someone younger because you don't know if they're going to start partying and this and that. But we've both got that out of our system. Don't get me wrong. Like we'll have nights out or whatever, but we just both have that same goal in life. So yeah, I think it makes it easier having someone that's on the same page.
Yeah.
As me, like he lets my head just go crazy places, and they're like, okay, and he's with me, like he backs me with all of it, sort of thing. So,
You find, like obviously winning fights was a big thing, right?
Yep.
Winning fight, like if you lost the fight, you would have been there, but to win the fight, it was mindset based. Yeah, like although you train a lot and physically you have to fucking bash someone.
Yeah.
Without a healthy mindset, I think that's the one thing you can take out of every single thing. Anyone that's going well in life.
Yep.
Has a similar mindset.
Yeah.
You know, it's like failure is not an option, and that's just the way it fucking is. So I feel like that's a massive thing.
Just living with purpose.
Yeah. Well, I've had it like I said, last few years have been my best years, and I'm on a win streak at the moment. So yeah, I'm at peace, like in a good place with everything in my life, and I've got a balance with my personal life, my work life, my relationship, my kids are in a good place, my fight career, I've got good coaches, training, like everything, and just breaking everything down to like not thinking and wishing time away. So yeah, like I've got 8 weeks in a fight camp, not thinking about that that big fight. You know, obviously I'm aiming to win it, but if I lose it, you've just wasted 8 weeks of your time and only focus on that. But in that 8 weeks, you've achieved.
He wins the whole way.
Yeah.
That.
So that's my biggest turning point is just taking it. And again, it's a saying that Dion and I have because he sees me more than anybody else. And he sees me go through the the days that I don't. So I need just says, okay, just one day at a time, babe, one session at a time, and it gets me through it because it's breaking things down. So even for today, like I've been going since 5 o'clock this morning, and it's been like I said, I've had 40 minutes, and I went and changed bed sheets. But like it's a structure. So instead of thinking about the whole day, like breaking each thing down and enjoying things. Like this is a cool moment. I'm sitting here having a chat. There's gonna be people coming, like people watching, and that's a big thing. Yeah. And then I'll go into the next thing. I've got teaching later on this afternoon. There's gonna be 30 kids in the class whose parents trust me to teach their kids to instill like good life lessons and teach them how to punish.
I feel like that's a massive thing. Being humble enough to be humbled by that sort of stuff. So for us, like it's humbling being able to have you in here and chat to us, and for you to say, like it's a big thing for you to be here so that people can watch. Like that's a big part of why people succeed. I think being humble. Like if you're, don't get me wrong, as a fighter, sometimes you've got to be arrogant. You've got to go in there and think
I'd like to think, if Conor McGregor, like, I'm never going to be as big as him just because I don't have that personality. See, I'm calling right now.
Heads up.
What was I saying? Conor, like, it doesn't, and I was only doing like a quick live thing with Lapo at the gym this morning. Like, I still think I'm me, like 12 years ago when I first started fighting. So it's kind of like a very surreal thing that, I've got fans and followers, and even having like this last 2 weeks sitting down having sponsor meetings, the fact that people want to financially back me, like, and seeing my vision and stuff like that, like it's huge. And I will always remember where I came from. So I'd like to think, when I beat Cyborg and, my name does sort of blow up, again, I'm not going to be a Conor McGregor, but like I'm still just going to be me. And I think that's heaps important that people don't sort of outgrow their boots or forget where they came from.
Yeah. Even if you are that, superstar, and even if you are up there, I just feel like for me, we chose to back you based off it, like you and I. So Arlene and I had a chat. We had a lot of things in common. We got into I think we were speaking for like a minute, and then we're like, fuck it. I said to her, we stopped speaking about sponsorship. We were just chatting because she said to me, like, I don't like to ask people for money or take sponsorship off people if, like, I want them to know who I am and I want to know who they are. And I thought that was pretty cool. Like, I was like, it's
not a business.
Yeah.
It's a relationship. And and all my sponsors are like that. I don't like that whole corporate feel of like, you need to put, 5 posts up and this and that.
Relationships. There's no sales anymore, you know what I mean? Like, sales are dead.
Yeah.
The sales now is relationships. You got to build it. And that's, like, when we met, right? Like I used to work in a corporate office, big head office in the city, and I wear a suit every day, and I hate it. I give my Asics and my chinos and the other day, right? And when we met, I was sitting in the cafe at Cartel, and I was in a suit. I just finished work, and I was loud, and I must have sounded like the westiest bloke you ever heard. And he turned around, and he's like, "Who is this guy?" He's like, "This guy's definitely not meant to be in a suit." And
I was fucking looking at him. I was like,
You've probably just been to court.
No, we were
good suit.
we were out for Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
And I was sitting with B, and like I was loud,
And
and like he was very loud. I was like, what the
and like we're both owning the joint, like he was like, "Who the fuck?" Like, because I was like a regular there, and he's like, "Who is this motherfucker?"
I asked the dude.
We got VIP treatment because we were going at the time, and he's like, "Who the fuck?"
I asked the dude across from the bar, like we requested a song.
Yeah.
Like when you booked, you requested this song.
Yeah.
Anyway, the song come up, and I was like, "Hey, that's mine." And he goes, "Yeah, that's my one." And I was like, "Oh, I fucking ordered that song." You know what I mean? Like,
No, it wasn't. It was because I played like Drake's song or something off topic, and he was like, "That's mad." He's like, "I wish I chose that song." He's like, "Who chose that?" And I was like, "Yeah."
Something to do with the song. And
but it came down to like what I'm saying is that we built an unbelievable client relationship, but then a friendship as well.
Yeah.
And I'm not with all my clients. Like I had to get rid of all my clients that I had that were business. Like I still did great things from them. We got on, but I had to be friends, and that's how we moved. We created Wealth Cartel and all we want to network, and we want to turn this into a networking group, right?
Yeah.
And we want to do it for people who just want to get on, work with people, not because there's you got to get me this many clients and KPIs, because we get on. We get each other.
But you'll find that you'll actually get more from
That's
that.
right.
Oh, it goes so much better. Like
so
this Wealth Cartel, our first podcast, we were like, we don't expect anything from this. We'd be happy to sit here and chat to each other, and I couldn't give a fuck who hears or who likes it or who does. Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
And that's the truth. And we listened, and we were like, Ryan was blowing up because he's like got these other things. He's like, fucking people, like, why they want to listen to us talk shit, but they don't. He's got these. What do you do? What's the other one called?
Financial education series. So 12-week financial, which like people pay big money for. I like it.
So they come on board and they do this. They subscribe and they do this financial education series. And Ryan's like, this is a balls up. Like, how the fuck are we getting views on this shit? People just want to listen because you're being yourself and ultimately you're not telling them what to do. Yeah. Whereas with what Ryan does, Ryan's very good with the finances. Like I don't listen to people. He sends me emails and he's like, "Can you fill this out?" And I'm like, "Send it to B." And then B doesn't answer it. So I know she's not going to answer it. So he just keeps harassing me. But
worst client I've got.
But in saying that, what we've managed to put together, I think will work because we are who we are. We don't get rid of the fuck what anyone thinks.
But unapologetically us, you know what I mean? And that's what I love.
And it's just real,
And what you said before about being humble and where you come from, and I think being that, I think what you got to be careful as well. Like as you grow, what I loved what you said before is that being careful who you're loyal to.
Yeah.
And talk about that because you got a lot. How many fakers like that might have met you once or didn't meet you at all, or whatever, and as you're going, "Oh, that's my girl," and they start jumping on the bandwagon and stuff like that.
Well, that's actually one of the things, and I don't know if I said it to you, like in one of our sponsor catch-ups, is that this next fight's going to be huge, and everyone's probably going to want to jump on board because it's like a big fight, a big exposure. But I want to make sure that the people that have been there from the beginning, that believed me before this, are there, and they're going to get the exposure that like they deserve, rather than people that just want to come on last minute. And
we spoke about that. I spoke about that with one of my mates. He was like, "Fuck, this is a good opportunity for you. Like, how'd you manage to scoundrel that?" And I was like, "Oh, well, I've sponsored her the last fight." Yeah. And he was like, "Oh, did you know she was having a cyborg fight?" And I said, "Nah, like we just sort of wanted to fucking jump on and get amongst it." And we met at Lakeside. Yeah. We met at Lakeside, and Arlene was sober in fight camp, and I was like, "Oh, fucking sponsor you!" I was blind.
And I'm like, "Do I call this?
Do I call this dude? Is he talking shit?" And I was like, she rang me, and I was like, "Yeah, let's go." She was like, "Oh, I didn't know if you're going to be keen because you were pissed." But that's how it happens. So everything happens for a reason. So how good?
All right, so let's finish this up. Let's summarize. So again, remembering this is we're trying to give it to a bit of a hindsight thing to other people. Yeah. So the happiness, which like we've identified, money, health, and living, but to live your best life, which is what it's all about. What would you summarize and what would be your bit of advice to give in the way that they listen for anyone who wants to sort of change what they are or get into the mindset and the health that you're in now? What's the advice?
I don't know if my advice for the general public, but for me, happiness. So being able to lay my head down of a night and know that I've done the right thing morally and been a good person. So like they're big
That's
things
what
for
we
me.
spoke about. Exact same thing.
Yeah, like you know, I've come from living a life on the wrong side of the law and being involved with people that do the wrong thing and this and that. And I'm not against any of that. That's all. But for me right now, like I do everything right, like right down to, you know, my taxes. It feels good. I'll pay my taxes and it's shit. But and even when I go to America, like and more recently, like, you know, I pay 30% tax over there. And it's shit, especially when you get a paycheck and you've got 30% taken out of it. But at the time, I was just like, you know what? I'm going to another country and working there, and it's the right thing to do. Since then, I've paid money back and this and that. But when it first happened, I was just like, you know, it is the right thing to do.
Have you got a good accountant?
Well, I do, yeah. But
Don't say no. Don't say no. That's terrible.
But yeah, the same thing. Like, you know, people come to Australia and work here without paying their taxes. You know, it affects, you know, our economy and this and that. So for me, in all areas of my life, I do the best I can, and I'm a good person, and and it makes me happy inside. So
you said that Dan said on his summary was be the person you want your daughter to marry. So it was amazing. And my one was, so one thing that stuck with me was you are who you are when no one's watching. Yeah. That's one thing that kills me. And when I do something wrong, as minor or as big as it is, that's something that always eats away at me. You are who you are. You know, you can't pretend to be this person. If no one's around, you're a different person. Yeah. You know? And I think that's really good. I really like that. Anything else? Who
do you want to work with to either benefit you or them? Like, who are you at the moment?
Who can we connect you with from this? Who either for you to benefit or them to benefit you?
Well, yeah, leading up into this next fight, obviously with Cyborg, I want to have Australia behind me. You know, it's a goal. It was always a goal to represent Australia at the Olympics, and for me now, you know, I'm a two-time world boxing champion already. You know, I'm always flying the Australian flag, but this is a massive fight for women's MMA for Australia. I'm going to fight the baddest woman in the world, and yeah, just to have the media outlets behind me, like, just get some hype.
The second baddest woman in the world.
Yeah, well, she will be.
The second baddest.
Do you have all the connections with, like, the submission radio guys and all those guys? Like
I'm doing a fair few podcasts and things through, like, Instagram. I've always got people, but yeah, just more so like the
general public, yeah.
Yeah,
that's
general,
massive,
like not the fight world, because in the fight world I'm well known.
Yeah, it's Aussie public.
No, I feel like that's really good. What you just said in regards to, you know, it's not the Olympics, but it's the Olympics of MMA.
Yeah,
it's definitely, you know, like and people can
like someone playing Federer in tennis. You know what
I mean? Well, people can toss up UFC and Bellator all you want, but in my opinion, you know, like you carry gold, and fucking and Chris Cyborg will fucking
a legitimate opponent, so it's not like I'm fighting a tin can. Like she was in the UFC. I know that, like, previously, sort of, you know, I've reached out to sort of, you know, women's health magazines and that, and I guess I feel like my story, it's not, I'm a female fighter, and it might be scary to, you know, some people, but I'm a mother and this and that. Like, I just feel like I'm
more generic media outlets.
Just to
not the fighter story, the you story.
Yeah, well, just to inspire people, because the fact that I started this sport at 26 and I've, like, gone on to do this and still manage all the areas of my life, like, I feel like it's an inspiring story that can should be shared.
I like that. I reckon that's good, and I reckon we, you know, we might be able to do something to get that happen.
Do you have any specifics? Do you need more sponsorships?
Well, I wouldn't say no. This fight camp itself is actually going to cost a lot more just because of the whole quarantine side of things. There's going to be a lot more. You know, even paying, say, Jamie's 3 weeks of wages while we're doing the 2-week quarantine and paying for the hotel quarantine.
I think we should mention on that it's world exposure. It's a pay-per-view event, yeah?
Yeah, well, Bellator have just signed with a new TV deal. I'm not too sure who it is at the moment, though. Like, yeah.
So there's big deals going on, and it's world exposure. Like, if you've got a brand that you can potentially, like, even if it's limited to Australia, fair enough. But if you can potentially, if you're online and you can go worldwide, this is worldwide exposure.
Yeah, I think. Is there anyone you specifically want to sponsor? Is there a certain type of business you can help in a certain way?
I ended this question with a podcast.
Three Kings Finance.
Oh yeah, we're gonna chat. Don't worry.
No, I said this in a podcast the other day. Like, I feel like all my sponsors that I'm with at the moment, we've aligned and we align. So, like, obviously, if you've listened to my story or you listen to me speak and something resonates in you, like hearing, then that's probably the right job. Okay. Whereas if you haven't really got anything from, like, listen, probably I'm not the person to represent your company. One of my rules, like that first year of fighting, because again I was a single mum and I remember, you know, spending a lot of money, like, on just everything to do with fighting, and my rule was to make sure that my fighting didn't take food out of my kids' mouth. Yeah, cool. So I'm lucky. I've got physios, chiros, supplement companies, a equipment sponsors.
Beauticians. Flawless Laser Solutions. Shout out Flawless.
Hey, Chloe.
She's